welcome to another episode of Expressions of Podcast. We're on episode number 34. It's super exciting. And today we have an amazing guest on this week. We have Thanuska. She's a digital creator in makeup and fashion. She has over 200,000 followers on Instagram and over 8,000 subscribers on YouTube for her fashion and makeup content. So it's really, really amazing stuff. I had the pleasure of meeting Thanuska actually in person at Henry's while she was doing some promotional material there, and she was gracious enough to agree to be a guest on the show. So I'm super excited today. But before we get into the podcast, I just wanted to say hi to my co-host here. How are you doing, Brian?
Awesome. Actually, it's been an interesting week, but today I saw the first snowy owls of the year, so It was very exciting for me. I went out for my drive to my normal spot, and I was using this borrowed 60 to 600 Sigma lens. Thank you very much, Gentech. And I got some really bad photos because it was so far away, but I saw it and I'm happy. So that always makes my week better.
That's awesome. I mean, 60 to 600 is already a pretty long lens.
Yeah. On a crop sensor, on the additional crop mode, it was still like zoom on the screen to see it. So it was way out in the field. It was just a little white speck, and I thought, I wonder if that's an owl. Sure enough, that's what it was.
That's awesome. And how about you, Mark?
Doing well. Had an excellent week. My honeydew list got a little bit shorter on the weekend. I got a lot of great little projects done around the house. Safety first. I put 4 brand new smoke detectors up yesterday, so that was cool. And amongst other tasks, so I had a really accomplished day yesterday, and I really feel good about all the work I got done around the place. So.
Awesome.
And for Thunder Bay, we have no snow, so that's kind of awesome.
We got snow here today.
Yeah, there's a little bit, but you can see it's more grass than snow out there. So,
yeah. All right. So, Thanuska, thanks so much for being on the show. I really, really appreciate it. How are you doing today, by the way?
First of all, thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here. I'm doing good. It's unfortunately snowing. I think it stopped actually, so it's getting really cold. I usually do like winter, but I don't know what it is this year. I've just been really enjoying summer and the hot weather that I'm not ready yet. But otherwise I'm doing well, keeping busy with work, and actually just got back from a short trip to Niagara. So just kind of getting back settled in, getting back to doing work. So it's going good.
Awesome. So thank you again for being on. I did kind of give a little quick intro on what it is you do. You're a digital creator in fashion and makeup content creation. You have a lot of content on Instagram that I've seen, but also quite a bit of content on YouTube as well. So kind of before we get into our regular questions, could you give our audience a little bit of a description of like what it is you do and kind of like how you got into this digital creator world?
Yep. So I started content creation specifically on Instagram to start 3 years ago. As of January, I think the 4th year is going to start. Honestly, it wasn't anything planned. Like I wasn't sitting there like, oh, I want to be an influencer today. My boyfriend actually happens to be a videographer, and we both kind of started our career paths at the same time. So he kind of encouraged me like, oh, why don't you start putting out makeup tutorials because you're so good at doing makeup. And like, I've always been encouraged by people in my circle to start doing freelancing. So he kind of helped me shoot my first ever makeup tutorial, and he kind of really forced me to post it on Instagram and YouTube. And it just did really well for the first video that I've ever posted. And there were a lot of people specifically in like my community, the South Asian community, that were very happy to see content coming from someone that looks like me of my skin color, because you don't see many, at the time 3 years ago, you didn't really see many people that look like me posting that type of work. So that's kind of what motivated me to continue pushing out content that was similar to that at that time. And then slowly, as the year went by, I started getting brand deals, which I never even thought was even a thing. Like when I first started posting content, I didn't know people get paid to do this. So when I started getting brand deals, that's when I realized, oh, okay, so this is how people do it full time. So I don't know, ever since that, like I've just kind of been going with the flow and taking whatever opportunity comes my way. And I slowly started, like, this past year, as of, I want to say May, I started kind of venturing off into like IG Reels. Like that's kind of what I focus on, and just doing like transition videos and fun videos, and that's been doing really well for me. So that's kind of what I'm focusing on. Less of beauty now, more of fashion, more of fun content that kind of keeps people entertained. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Thank you.
When I met you the first time, I kind of asked a little bit of how you got into makeup, because I did see quite a bit of your makeup content.
Yeah.
And you also explained a little bit about how that like creating videos and content in the makeup and fashion world relates back to people in your culture who maybe haven't seen content from someone it kind of from your culture. I felt that kind of relates back to how you kind of got into makeup. And I was just wondering if you could describe a little bit about that.
Yeah, so growing up, like, I want to say especially speaking specifically about my family, I have two siblings. I am the deeper skin tone girl in my family. And so anytime I've gotten my makeup done for something, artists back then had this tendency to want to make my skin look a lot lighter than it is. And it's not just me. You'll hear this story from many people that are either my skin tone or darker. We've been through very traumatizing experiences looking like a ghost. And that's just what it was like. There's this whole beauty standard of, the fairer you are, the more beautiful you are. And that's still a thing till this day, which is crazy. But that's kind of what motivated me to continue doing what I'm doing. And that's also why I learned how to do my own makeup, because no one else can do my makeup better than I can. So that's kind of what, like I said, motivated me to continue pushing out that type of content. And till this day, that's why I keep doing what I'm doing, because I want to be that kind of role model for younger girls and boys, to kind of embrace their skin and love the skin that they were born in, because that's something that I had a hard time doing when I was younger, because I used to always get bullied. So yeah.
Yeah. No, that's really amazing. You also mentioned that when you were younger, you started doing cultural dancing. I think your mother kind of encouraged you to do that.
Yep.
And in that's kind of, you had to do makeup for that.
Yep.
And that's how you started to learn. So
Yep.
I'd love to hear a little bit more about your experience doing the dancing and stuff as well.
Yeah, so I was doing, it's called Bharatanatyam. I was doing that, I started when I was 6. I stopped when I was in university just because I went to Waterloo for university, and it was just really hard to commute and come back to classes. But yeah, so I was doing it for about 15 or 16 years. And every year or every other year, we would have like an annual show or we do a performance. It's almost like, I wouldn't really call it a talent show, but a show similar to that. And we had to pretty much dress up in like the attire that those dancers wear. So I was always required to do my makeup. And so my mom would be the one that always used to do my hair and makeup. And there came a point where I just didn't like how she did it. So that's where I started to learn how to do my own makeup, and learned about products. My mom actually also used to work at the Mac and Estee Lauder warehouse. So that's how I was first introduced to makeup. So she was actually the reason I even knew what makeup was. So she would always bring back free makeup, and me and my sister would always kind of go through and fight over it. And then I started experimenting. I was wearing makeup as young as the age of 9. So it was always in my life, and that's kind of like how I pursued it. I never thought I would pursue makeup. Like I said, it just so happened that it kind of like full circle came back into my life. So
that's really interesting. Can I just ask, can you explain the culture itself? Like we've said, the culture. Can you explain where you're from and why, what this culture is?
So my parents, I was actually born here in Canada. So my parents are from Sri Lanka. It's an island south, I want to say southeast. I've never been there, so I hope no one. It's It's south of India. A lot of people when they see me, they think I'm Indian, but I'm not. I am Sri Lankan, so and I speak Tamil.
Okay.
So that's where we're from, and our religion, we're Hindu. I'm Hindu. There's all sorts of religions there, but yeah.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, no problem.
And I now that I know where you're from and the
Mhm.
culture, I know
Mhm.
you're from Canada. You know what I'm saying. I can visualize the dancing and I can visualize the outfits and the
Yeah,
makeup. So that helps me put that to
yeah.
context. One thing I have to ask though,
Hmm.
something that I'm a bit scared of in the
Hmm.
world of business in general.
Hmm.
I've been running a Day Tripper Photo, teaching photography and so on for a number of years. But
Hmm.
I've always been scared of hitting that plateau of success where you need to get help. You need to have somebody to come in and say, I'll do the business for you. You can focus on the creation and so on.
Hmm.
Are you a one person show? Like, are you in control of all your business and
Yeah.
everything, or do you have people to help you with that? Because when you said brand deals, my first thought is, did you need lawyers? Like, how does that work? And as the sole business person, maybe you can kind of clarify that a bit.
So I do work on my own. I want to say it's a good and bad thing. It's a good thing because obviously you have control over all of your decisions. You're not kept in the dark. Because obviously in this industry you can get signed with agencies and you can have an agent, you can have a manager and things like that who will manage everything for you and take the workload off of you. And I have been approached by many agencies to sign with them, but it's just not something I'm comfortable with because I've just heard a lot of horror stories of just influencers being kept in the dark and not being aware of who they're like they know the brand that they're working with, but when it comes time to, oh, okay, I want to move on from this agency, you lose contact with the brands that you've worked with, so you kind of won't be able to work with them again, kind of.
Right, right.
So I've heard, luckily for me, I've met industry friends who kind of educated me on the good and the bad of being in this industry. So I kind of made the decision for myself that right now I'm not ready to sign with anyone, and I don't see myself signing with an agency.
Good for
Um,
you.
they thank you. They also take a good amount of your money. So for me
Exactly.
personally, because I just can't I just can't take in that thought of an agency taking money from your hard work. Like obviously they're working hard too and helping you out and stuff, but it just does, to me it doesn't make any sense. So I would rather do the work, but at the same time the downfall of managing everything yourself is it is very overwhelming at times. For me, like I've been doing this for 3 years. My first year was easy. Second year started getting harder because I was taking on more opportunities, and this year the workload was unbearable at times. Like I kind of like was not able to respond to emails because I just mentally could not handle having to sit at a computer for like 8 hours a day and just respond to that many emails. So it does become overwhelming if you begin to procrastinate and are not managing your time. So I guess that's where a manager is beneficial, but at the same time, it's like for me, I just don't think it's worth it, and I like to take my breaks, but yeah, I don't know, but
Well, it
yeah.
makes sense though. I mean,
Yeah.
why pay somebody for something that you know you can do yourself,
Exactly. And it's
right?
for me, I want to learn how to manage my time properly. And it's for me, it's not going to be a smooth ride. So I'm learning now, and I know in a year I'm going to be great. So I'm just kind of learning, but it does become hard sometimes. Like there will be moments where you kind of run into a little bit of issues with certain brands or people that you're working with, especially if you're not on time with responding.
Mm.
So, but it's a learning lesson. Yeah.
Well, good for you. I mean, you've obviously done very well doing it for 3 years, and you're successful. It's your full time job,
Thank
so
you.
that says a lot about your strength and your will to
Yeah.
plow through and get it done. That's really
Yeah.
impressive.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
But I do also get help from my partner. He, like I said, he's a videographer, so a lot of times he's actually helping me shoot not all my content, but he helps me shoot a lot of my brand content. If it requires a high quality video, then I'll ask him because he is a professional. So he does help me out a lot when it comes to the videography and editing. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure he appreciates doing that too. I mean, practice always helps, right? Doesn't matter
Yeah.
how good you are. Getting more
Yeah.
work in gives you more experience and helps you
For
learn new
sure.
tricks. So I'm sure
Hmm.
it helps both of you I don't know, equally, but I'm sure it helps both of you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's amazing. I was thinking that earlier when you mentioned that he kind of like was the one who motivated you in the beginning to start making these videos. I think that's amazing in both a business standpoint, like for your business as a digital creator, but also in like a relationship as well, that you're able to kind of motivate and help each other like grow in your field. So that's really awesome. And I got the chance to meet him that day, Nidin, right?
Yeah.
I'm pronouncing that right. Okay, perfect. As well. And he was really awesome. He had a whole bunch of really professional cinema camera gear that day. And I was like, whoa. So yeah, I mean, coming from somebody who works at a camera store, saying that as well, he had a lot of gear and a lot of experience. So
it's very easy to geek out on gear. It really, really is.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, it's cool. Like a lot of brands now are starting to reach out to work with the both of us, because a lot of my content now that I post is with both of us in the content. A lot of the videos, the reels that I post now are with both of us, like doing transitions and stuff. So it's been really cool to see that a lot of people now want to work with him as well. And it's kind of eye-opening for him, like, oh, okay, this is another way I can make money too. So yeah, it's really fun. It's a really cool experience being able to work with your partner. So
that's great.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
That is really neat. I've done in the past. I was a photographer, sort of part time, doing some things, and I worked with a couple of makeup artists, especially when you're doing weddings and things. And it's not it's not a quick process, and you very quickly find out that a good makeup artist is worth their weight in gold when you're doing a shoot. Because they'll know how to shoot for, like put on the makeup, whether it be a wedding or whether it be a fashion shoot or something like that. So that's excellent that you've got the support of your partner as well in that venture as well. So for you, do you just do the content creation, or do you like you've got sponsorships with obviously a few companies or several? Do you work for anybody as well as a makeup artist or in sales or anything, or is it just?
So I just recently stopped freelancing. So I was taking a lot of wedding clients and things like that while also doing the content creation on social media. But I actually stopped doing clients, or I stopped taking, because majority of my clients would be on weekends. So I would be working pretty much 7 days a week. And for me, that became a little overwhelming, and I just needed time to myself and just wanted to be able to spend time with my family and just even just alone. So and I'm doing a lot better with the content creation than I was with the freelancing. So I just felt it was the time for me to stop. And for me, it became really exhausting as well, because I don't know if it's like among every culture, but within the South Asian community, our weddings tend to happen early morning. So the brides would start getting ready as early as 12 a.m. And so it'd become really exhausting on our bodies. So for me, I just didn't think it was worth it anymore. So I decided it was time to stop.
Yeah, once you see that seesaw tilt toward the fun side of the world, just jump right on that and get to the fun side.
Yep.
Yeah. I have a lot of respect for people who can do makeup and do makeup well. Like being the only woman as a host on this podcast, I have little to no makeup skills. Like I can put on mascara, I can put on like a basic, just like one color eyeshadow, and I know how to put on lipstick, but I do not know how to do the contouring and the highlighting and the shading with the eye makeup. It is really an art. And I can understand like recently it was one of my friends' weddings, and we got our makeup done professionally, it really is an art. You're basically painting kind of thing, but with different kind of materials. And I think that in itself is super creative. And I have a lot of respect for people who can do well with makeup. So I think that's awesome.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, at least you know what contouring is. I mean, that's a start there, Aurora.
Yeah, I probably know more about makeup and makeup sales than most men should, but just having recently retired from part of that industry. So it's interesting. I noticed you've got the Sephora Squad on your shirt there. Are they somebody that sponsors you, or?
So I'm actually a part of the Sephora Squad. This
Okay.
is the third year. So
Okay.
Sephora Squad is pretty much a year-long partnership with Sephora,
Okay.
and all of the brands that they carry. So every so often you'll get a calendar of how many campaigns you have throughout the year. So yeah, it's just pretty much a yearly partnership, and it's the third year that it's happening right now. I was on the Sephora Squad my second year, and then this year I became a launch partner. So
Okay.
it's a really cool experience. Highly recommend those who are in the beauty industry to try out. Whoever resides in the U.S. or Canada, it's available to them only. But yeah, it's a really, really amazing experience just to get your foot started or foot in the door and start to this type of career. So yeah.
So with the Sephora Squad,
Mhm.
would you be involved in helping them create like their
Yeah.
fall looks and things like that?
So they pretty much yeah, so they'll assign you to a campaign. So for example, they'll reach out and let me know that I have a campaign with Fenty Beauty and say
Okay.
you are responsible for creating this type of deliverable, whether it's a video, picture, stories, TikTok, YouTube, anything. You'll get assigned a deliverable and you need to create that using the specific products that they send you, and then you have to get you have to get a concept approved. Then only when it's approved you create the content. Once its content is approved, you can post it. And
Okay.
so that's what happens throughout the year for different brands, different categories, and things like that.
That's really cool because it
Mhm.
allows you to sort of not only be creative in that you're creating content, but
Yeah,
you're helping to create a look and using
yeah,
those parameters of, okay,
Mhm.
here are the products we want you to use, create a look.
yeah.
And I love it. Actually, I just want to compliment you right now. First off, I mean your makeup is just coming out of the industry. Your makeup is on point. Like
Thank
I've
you.
really noticed in the last 2 years with COVID, everybody wearing masks. You really notice the people that are able to put on their eye makeup and do it well, right?
Yeah.
That's all you see.
And
1/3.
yeah, and
You-
what really impresses me is the different approaches that people will take. Like some people will go for a more subtle look,
Yeah.
and as Aurora alluded to, you know, the contouring and the different types of techniques.
Mhm.
It's something like I can't even draw. Like I can't do like stick figures are sort of my thing. So to
Yeah.
think about creating this transition of a shadow from a light to dark and then into another light on the other end, or when you're blending colors together, to me it's all art, and it's
Mhm.
just amazing to see somebody that's got that skill set. So yeah, absolutely, you're doing some great work. I tried to find your Instagram account while I was working here, but Instagram got a little grouchy on me, we'll say, so I stopped trying to look so I could pay attention. But no,
I
definitely
can actually pull that up if you need. I've got all that stuff.
Yeah, that'd be great.
on hand here.
And we'll make sure we link it in the video for the viewers as well. I think we
Thank
just
you.
lost Aurora's camera.
that
Are you still there? Yeah, she's
yeah,
She's still there. We just lost her.
yeah. Sorry, that might be because I tried to find the
You're just
Thanuska's
trying
page
too
here.
hard, Aurora. Actually, to Mark's point there, the fact that you are so good at doing makeup and so on, you do tutorials, and I have a big question for that. I teach photography, and I've done these videos I call DigiKnows, where it's like short little tips and tutorials, and I've made a whole bunch of them, and I've not posted them because every time I do something, I question myself: am I a good enough authority? Am I the person that people should listen to? You know,
Mhm.
do I have faith in my own knowledge enough to be making these videos for other people?
Mhm.
Is that an issue you've had, or are
Mhm.
you just that confident that you can just put stuff out there? And you know, I'm sure that sometimes you get some blowback. We had a guest on once that we had crazy blowback because of and sometimes things are taken the wrong way, or people go on a mission to make
Yeah.
somebody look bad in the world. How do you deal with those things? Because I know for myself, I've not done those videos and posted those to avoid
Mhm.
dealing with any of that kind of criticism.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I experienced a lot of that. when I first started, I was so nervous. I was like, I don't think my makeup skills are good enough. Even though I had like every single person in my circle telling me otherwise, I'm like my biggest critic. I'm also a perfectionist, so that combination is not good. Um, so I always like, and till this day, I will post my content and I still pick at it and say, oh, I could have done this differently. But I think for me, it's seeing that there was so many people that resonated with my content and seeing how much they enjoyed something about my content is what kept me motivated. Like, okay, there is something there. There's something really good about it. Let me just keep posting. So that's kind of what motivated me to continue. Obviously, through this entire process of 3 years, my confidence has gotten like I've always been a confident person, but the experiences that I've experienced in the last 3 years have just kind of validated like the skill that I already have and how I have felt about my content and things like that. So yeah, it's definitely something that I've experienced. And there is a lot of negativity on social media. Like people still say things, message things and whatnot. But I think for me, and I guess the advice that I would give to people is don't focus on the people that are saying negative things. Focus, even if it's just one person that's telling you something good about your content, that's all that matters. It matters that you're changing at least one person's life. So I guess that's kind of what was motivating me the last 3 years and why I'm kind of here today.
Well, good. I'm glad you kept at it because you end up with 77 followers if you don't. So,
Yeah.
So no, that's great advice. Just to sort of ignore the haters. And we were actually talking about it. Just Brian and I were talking about it earlier. Is that when you create content or you do something, there's always going to be 100 people that come in the back end and say, "Oh, you could have done it this way, or this would have given a better result," and things like that. So it's good to be you and to do things the way that you want to do, and then. Absolutely. I don't know. How do you deal with the negativity? Do you just ignore it or do you ever address any of it?
So I actually, and the thing is, I don't know, I'm not someone that pays too much attention to negativity. Like I want to say that I actually don't get as much negativity as somebody in my position with the amount of followers I have gets. But at the same time, I also think that because I also don't go looking for the negativity.
Okay.
I do my best to respond to the comments that come under my posts, but I don't get through all of them. I don't check my DMs as much as I do, even though I would love to check my DMs all the time and respond to everyone that's messaging me. But I feel like because I've been avoiding doing it, just because in the past I have seen negative DMs and negative comments, I'm not seeing it, and therefore it's not affecting me. So and my email is attached to my Instagram. So if someone really desperately needs to reach me, my email is there, and I always go through my email. So I think maybe that's why I don't pay attention as much to the negativity. I'm not saying I don't see it. I do occasionally see negative comments and negative things being said about me, my work, even my partner, and things like that. But I've always been a confident person, and something someone has said to me has never affected me and made me want to change as a person or things like that. And like I said, I think I'm one of those people that when I post something, as long as I like it, that's all that matters. Like I'm also one of those people that asks my partner, "Hey, like, do you think I should post this picture or this picture?" He'll say the other picture, but I'll post the other picture. So that's just who I've always been. So,
Classic.
yeah. So it's just another person's opinion really doesn't matter to me. And
I love that.
and I know that, and that does take work. It's not as easy as what I'm saying it is. Like I can't go to someone and be like, "Hey, just don't care about what other people are saying," because if you are someone that lacks confidence and needs validation from other people, then you are going to be affected by negativity. But I think it's just social media is not for everybody, and if you're somebody that really cares about what other people say and get down on yourself, then I don't know if social media is for you and being an influencer is for you, because it's a very toxic place if you let it get to you. So yeah.
Good advice.
That's great advice. Great advice.
Yeah. It definitely is, and it kind of alludes to the same, like, I don't see you guys on the screen here, but it kind of alludes to the same thing that you were saying earlier, Thanuska, about you want to be able to part of making your content is showing people to be comfortable in their own skin, and that they're beautiful the way that they are. And I think that's just a super inspiring message, along with, this message is try not to let it, the negativity to get to you, because it really only matters what you think. And I think that you just have some really great messages in your content, and I mean, just as a person too. So that's really amazing.
But it's like you say too, it's easier said than done. I mean, in 2017, I coined the hashtag I shoot for me for the exact reason you're talking about, because when I'm making images, I'm doing it because I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I have to remind myself that, which is where the hashtag comes from. It's not trying to say, you don't matter. It's just trying to say, look, I'm doing this for me.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that's exactly why you're doing it.
Yeah, for sure.
I've got the your screen shared there, Aurora, if you want to.
Yeah. So we've got, she has an amazing profile here on Instagram. Like, this is her content. That's her username, Mark, by the way.
Okay.
And anybody else who's watching, Thanuska S. Thanuska.s. And I've got some awesome fashion and beauty content. Oh, I've got the Christmas tree going there.
These are really well composed, perfectly lit, beautiful, bright images.
Thank you.
Are you a photographer? Do you make these images? Like, did you get the lighting, or are you going on shoots and getting these photos?
So, no, this is all content I've taken, or my partner has helped me take. Honestly, it's like I said, he's a videographer, so he has some pretty high quality equipment that he lets me play with. So I'm very, 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 very fortunate and lucky to have him help me out. So I would not know anything with how to take pictures and stuff like that without his help. So anytime he learns something new, he's teaching me, and then I'm kind of applying it to my content.
Well, that's awesome. You guys make a good team.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's good to see.
This was the Henry's video, actually.
Oh.
That Aurora was at. My boyfriend actually shot and edited this video.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you can check it out on her page. I don't know if I can. Let's see if I can bring this back to the beginning here.
Let's bring it back to the beginning. We can overlay it in. I didn't see my photo. Oh, wait, that's it right there behind you on the wall.
Oh my God, is that your picture?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm almost a celebrity. So I assume there's sound to this.
Yeah, there is, yes.
Okay, so I'll make sure the sound plays when we overlay it.
Mm-hmm.
Aurora, your store looks great. Is she still here?
I don't see her, actually.
She's been having troubles with her computer, so I wonder if...
I think possibly because she's playing the video, it's...
Yeah.
Maybe.
Am I frozen, or you just can't hear me?
I can hear you now.
We can hear you now.
You can hear me now.
This is great. So how did this happen? What was the point of the video? Like, how they brought you in to just talk about the store?
Yeah. So we actually, his name is Gudgeon. He actually reached out. Yeah, Gudgeon. He reached out to me and asked to just do this campaign for Henry's and kind of pick out the equipment that I use to shoot my content and just kind of talk about it to educate like my audience about what equipment I use to shoot my content and things like that. So that was pretty much the whole message of the video. And surprisingly, like Instagram nowadays, like ads don't really necessarily do the best on Instagram in terms of engagement for me. And I know a lot of other creators. I'm not sure what the issue is with Instagram nowadays, but this video, surprisingly, a lot of people loved because I think one of the main questions I get is what equipment I use to shoot my content, because people obviously notice like the quality and the lighting and things like that and how it looks good. So it was very beneficial to have this video on my page.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously
Yeah.
we're all gearheads, so
Yeah.
when I can listen to that back with sound, that'll be better.
Yeah, I'll just go find it after the show and
Yeah.
watch it again. But yeah, obviously the creation now, that was your partner helped you to do that video.
Mhm.
Yeah, so yeah, obviously professionally done and very great content. And looking through your Instagram feed there, just some great quality photos, and of course the makeup looks, and of course the fashion looks. Everything's just amazing. So I can see how you've got people sort of flocking to what your content is. So that's awesome, especially if I'm a young person just wanting to get started. I'm looking at it thinking there's inspiration there. If you're somebody that wants to be either a makeup artist or a content creator or possibly a model, even a photographer, there's a lot of inspiration there. I follow a lot of models, a lot of photographers on social media, just for that, because I enjoy looking at the quality of the work that they do. So yeah, kudos to you and your partner. That's great.
And that's something I've never been very good at, getting that nice bright white pop to the quality. That's really cool. Yeah. Mark, you mentioned inspiration. You say you have industry friends. Are there any industry people that you have learned from, or that you watch and don't know, or maybe do know but are inspired by?
So I mean, I don't know if you guys follow Desi Perkins. Have you guys heard of Desi Perkins?
No.
So she's actually like my role model, inspiration. She's huge on Instagram and YouTube. Like, she's one of the original YouTube creators that is in this industry. She's US based, I think in California. But yeah, just like the way her content looks and how she creates her content, I drew a lot of inspiration from her videos. Her videos are always different and not the usual videos you see other creators create. And I find that a lot of times, like when in our industry, people's videos and content looks very similar and the same, but she's always somebody that you can kind of pick out her work. And so I think that's what inspired me to always try to create content that looked different from other people's. Just because I do find that brands, when they want to work with you, they look for authenticity and something different. So that's what I really enjoyed about, or continue to enjoy about, her content and her work.
Well, she's a good choice. She did win the People's Choice Award for favorite beauty influencer, I've learned.
Yeah.
So that says a lot right there.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yes.
And I have one last question. I kind of touched on the whole mental health thing earlier, but do you have something that you do as like a Zen thing? I know for my wife and I, right in the thick of the crazy, we'll go get in the car, just take off for a few hours and just decompress. Is there something that you guys do to Zen out a little bit and de-stress yourselves?
I think something that has really helped me, I wouldn't say I mean, this doesn't really take much time because it's just 5 minutes, but I write in my gratitude journal in the morning and at night. And I personally have found that it like does help me mentally just kind of prepare for my day and also reflect on my day. So, and it's something that I would really recommend people do, because it really does positively impact your life. And I think for me, because this year especially, I struggled so much with time management and just finishing something that I've got started. It really helped me kind of reflect and be proud of like the little things that I did accomplish, because that's something that I would always be down about and kind of be hard on myself about. If I didn't check everything off of my checklist for the day, then I would be really upset with myself and feel like I failed the day. But this writing in a journal really helps you understand that even just getting one thing off your list is something to be super proud of. And if you don't, then you just have to work harder the next day. So that's something that really has helped me. And I do find like I'm not perfect at it. Like, there are certain days and weeks that I don't write in it, and I do notice a difference in myself mentally when I do write in it versus when I don't. So it's something that I definitely will be continuing to do for the rest of my life, because it is very, very beneficial. So,
That's great. That's really cool.
That's awesome.
Aurora, that kind of segues into the challenge.
Yeah,
wanted
it's a
to go there yet?
perfect segue into the challenge. I do have one last question because for those of you who have been listening to our podcast for a while, we do send out like a set of questions to our guests so we can kind of prepare for the interview. And one of the questions, one of your answers to the questions was you didn't like your 9-to-5 job, and that's kind of how you got into content creation. I'm just super curious, what was your 9-to-5 job before you
So
did this?
I was an administrative assistant at I want to say a telecommunications company. It was not, so I actually went to school for kinesiology and I minored in psychology. So I didn't know what I wanted to do after school, and this job just kind of landed right in front of me. It was through a referral, so I just took it because I financially wasn't doing well, and I just needed to make some sort of money that I could spend on weekends. So I actually stayed in that job a lot longer than I should have. I was there for 2.5 years, and it just wasn't. I started noticing a lot of things that I was not liking in management, and just how people were treated. And for me, the idea of working for somebody, it just wasn't it for me. I just didn't see myself, and I always knew something in me, like I was always meant to be an entrepreneur of some sort. Um, so just there was a specific situation that happened at that job. Like we saw somebody at that job get fired, and just I did not appreciate the entire whole situation that happened, and I just didn't see myself being one of those people. Like I didn't see myself ever working for somebody with no guarantee that I'm going to be working for, having that job for the rest of my life. So I quit that job just suddenly. I just was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to write my resignation letter and just go give it without thinking. I did it. And I'm like, you know what? I'll take a month break and then look for another job. But within that month break is when I dropped my first makeup tutorial and it blew up, and then I stuck to it, and now I'm here. So
That's amazing.
thank you.
That's amazing.
Well, good for you. That's awesome for you to follow that dream.
Thank you.
And just keep at it. I'll follow you on Instagram earlier, but I love seeing fresh and I love content like yours. So,
Thank you.
which sounds funny. Look, I mean, people look, the guy looks like Grizzly Adams who lives in Thunder Bay, but no, as a photographer,
But you're a photographer, a portrait
it's what I
photographer.
like.
Yeah.
I do portraiture as well. And I'm hoping now with my schedule opening up that I will be able to have time to get back into that. So
For sure.
some time for me as well. So that's going to be good, and with my family. So
Yeah.
I'll definitely give you a follow and use you as an inspiration.
Thank you. You're so sweet. Thank you so much.
I'm getting a complete Jerry Maguire vibe of that person getting fired, and you'd be like, "I'm going with you." That was awesome.
Yeah. No, I mean, you have a really inspiring story, and you have really amazing messages that you want to put across with your content. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on. And I think this has been an awesome episode. So thank you again for being on. Brian or Mark, do you have any last questions for Thanuska before we get into our last three?
Mark?
No, I think I'm good. Thank you.
Last one I have is, how much content do you create? How often are you creating something new? Is it daily, weekly?
Daily.
Every day.
Definitely. Like I mentioned, like I was taking a little bit of a mental break, which I needed, which I think everyone should take. But yeah, I do create content daily. Just because I do feel like if you want to succeed on Instagram with the way it's going right now, you definitely need to be consistent. Consistency is key when you're an influencer. And I just like to create things that are different. Like I don't like posting the same thing this in 1 week or whatever. And I've noticed that I do well, or I do better. My algorithm and engagement and things are better when I'm consistent and posting different things every single day. So I do shoot every day. However, I'm not going to say I recommend that. I do think there are more strategic ways of working. So I'm trying to build this habit of working for or shooting for just 3 days and then using the other 2 days to either rest or edit. Because I do feel like mentally that will be a lot better. But I'm kind of slowly getting in that. So yeah.
Well, good luck with that.
Thank you.
That means you're doing multiple things each day rather than one thing a day. And
Exactly.
right.
Yeah.
It's a good way to go. I mean, when we started the podcast, we had to make sure that we had at least 4 episodes in the hopper, so to speak, before we put our first one out.
Right.
And it was a good thing because as time has gone on, now we're going, pretty close to when we release them. Like this will be released next week type of thing, right? So
for sure.
You got to build up that content to have and to be able to pre-record a bunch of stuff and release it when you can relax a little bit. That really goes a long way for your mental health.
For sure.
Definitely.
Awesome.
Right. I have one last question before we get into our last 3. I know that you have a YouTube channel and you have your Instagram channel, but I've seen a lot on your reels of like you were saying like in the fashion kind of stuff. I've seen those like the transition videos where you change it to a different outfit with like the camera angle and the placing or like the snapping. There was one I saw of you and Nadine together and you guys were like changing outfits in like a cool kind of transition. And I think that content is really awesome. I've seen a lot of that kind of style of content on TikTok. Do you have a TikTok channel?
Yeah, I do actually have a TikTok. It's in the same username as my Instagram. It's just I'm not as focused on TikTok. Lately, I've really only been posting like my brand campaigns and things like that, which I would not recommend. I think you need a balance of both. It's just Instagram is where I started, and that's where my focus has been. And that's also where I'm obviously making more of my money. So that's why I focus on it more. I know TikTok obviously doesn't have their Creators Fund for Canada yet, and not that partnerships can't come through TikTok. It's just I have not focused on it. I definitely do want to be focusing on it just as much as I am Instagram. But already working with one app is a lot of, it takes a lot of your time and energy. So the thing with TikTok is I feel like you can be a little bit more free and creative and not so like perfect. I feel like Instagram has this like your content, your feed and everything needs to look proper. Whereas TikTok is you can post whatever you want. It's whatever. But I definitely want to start posting more often on TikTok.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Good to know. Yeah, just out of curiosity, because I saw those trends and I've seen those trends on TikTok specifically, so I was curious. Awesome. So thank you again so much. Amazing message, amazing conversation we're having. So at the end of each podcast, we go into the last kind of 3 questions. You just lost my camera, but not my mic. I don't know why this keeps happening.
Is it your USB or something?
I don't know. It's like the button turns off randomly on the program. Yeah. I don't think it's the camera. I think it's my computer doing something weird.
It's anyway, Nikon. Nikon's awesome.
Never Nikon. I got one held with duct tape over it.
Yeah. Anyway, so we have these last 3 questions that we ask every one of our guests on the episode. You know one of them already. So the first one, what would you challenge our viewers to try out this week? Each one of our guests, we ask this question to challenge our viewers, challenge our listeners to try something different. What is your challenge?
So just because I think I already mentioned it in this podcast, but just because it's been helping me, I think I would challenge your audience to maybe just start with the 7 days this week. Have a gratitude journal. Start off by writing something that you're grateful, or 3 things that you're grateful for in the morning when you wake up. 3 things that you want to accomplish, and a daily affirmation. Like those are the 3 things that I write in the morning, and then at nighttime, you can write down what did you accomplish and what you're proud of, and how you can improve the next day. Like it has such a positive impact on your life, and I feel like if you do it for 7 days, just this week, you'll see something different. You'll feel different, and so I think I would say, challenge yourself to do that this week.
That's amazing, because I think that we all take our own selves for granted sometimes, and what we can accomplish and what we do. And I think this is a really great idea. I will probably be taking this challenge as well.
Definitely do it.
Okay, into the next one. These two questions you don't actually know. So,
unless you've watched our podcast before, because if you watched the full episodes, you would know.
So, what's your jam? What is a song that you always listen to? It always puts you in a good mood. It gets you pumped up and excited. What is your jam?
Oh my God, that's funny you asked me that. This is an old song, but "Lose Yourself" by Eminem.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what it is, but every single time I listen to that song, especially in a car ride, I just start crying. Like I just start bawling my eyes out. I don't know what it is about that song that just makes me feel very motivated, just to succeed. Like that's obviously what the song is also about. But yeah, that
get you amped.
It's not a song it's not a song that I listen to every day. And I don't know if I mentioned this in one of like the questions that you sent earlier, but I listen to music every day. Like I have an obsession for music. It's something that I love doing. But it's not a song that I listen to all the time. But every time I hear it, it really hits me when I listen to it. So yeah.
Good choice.
Yeah. Awesome. And then our last question is, what is your tool of the trade? What is something that you use? It can be physical or, not physical. That you use every day. It's your go-to thing to help you do what you do on a daily basis. And in this case, I guess, is create digital content, be a digital creator.
Honestly, I don't know if this is a good or bad answer, but it's like my iPhone. I'm a social media content creator, so I can't really be a social media content creator without my phone. Just because my job is on Instagram pretty much, and YouTube and TikTok. So, and it's also something that I use to create more than half, I want to say, of my content. And I think this is something else that I would give as advice to people who are just trying to start what I'm doing. You don't need the most high-tech equipment to do what I'm doing. A lot of times I actually opt for my iPhone. And I find that a lot of times my content that I shoot on my iPhone, whether it's a picture or videos, tend to do a lot better than videos that I take on my DSLR. And I do feel that it's because sometimes your audience tends to relate to you more when you're shooting from your phone, and it seems more authentic and just more real. So definitely an iPhone or phone, whatever you're using. I think an iPhone is better. So yeah. And it allows me to
and the debate begins.
I'm not gonna. I've had Android devices before, but I personally just enjoy an iPhone.
I'm jealous of the iPhone actually, because in our group chats, and Aurora knows about this, in our group chats, anytime somebody texts you something, well, in Facebook or whatever, you can like, and you can, put a little heart emoji or whatever. But on my texting with an Android, you can't like things. And so, of course, I'll reply back. I'll make a comment in our group chat, and somebody will like it. And I'll be like, I wish I could like the comment. And then everybody will like it and laugh at it and then emphasize it. And then, what are you guys just rubbing it in now? You have all these ways of reacting to my texts, and I have nothing. But that's why I want an iPhone.
Well, I'll be in your boat soon, Brian. Not to worry.
Oh yes.
I think that the iPhone's a great tool. I use an iPhone. I've had Android devices before, and it makes sense as a digital creator because, I'm not sure we touched on this a whole lot, but you have to look at statistics. You have to see how your posts are doing, and always be connected to that. Well, maybe not always, but almost always be connected to that to know what kind of content does well and what doesn't do well, and reply to your emails and all that stuff. So the iPhone is or a smartphone in general is kind of like the ultimate tool to just keep you connected. So that's awesome.
Sure. It's a good and a bad thing, obviously, because I feel like nowadays people are always on their phone, and there's this whole thing like, oh my God, people are so attached to their phones and technology and heavily rely on it. But at the same time, I feel like if you can limit yourself and control yourself and can have a balance of when you're on your phone and off your phone, then a phone is still a great tool to have.
I can't imagine going through the whole COVID world without some sort of phone or internet or any of this kind of technology that we had today. Back in 1918, I mean, that was a real challenge. I mean, what we've gone through and having the opportunities that we've had, those are things that we should write in our journal about, you know, the gratitude journal about how we've had these tools at our disposal. So for sure, that's a great choice.
Yeah. I also really like what you said about the content being relatable that are coming out of the iPhone specifically, because I actually had this kind of conversation with one of our guests that's actually on the show that's airing tonight, Gregor Reynolds. He's a TikTok creator, and he shoots with both the DSLR and his phone, and he picks and chooses which pieces of content use what based on that. And one of the things that he's also said was he does still shoot on the phone, even though he has a camera and he can do the setup and it doesn't take that long, because he wants to be relatable to his audience, and he wants to catch those kind of views as well. So I think as like, I mean, the other three of us on this podcast are photographers, are have had video experience and stuff as well. There was a time where photographers and videographers thought this tool, the specific phone, was an enemy to us, and I think we should be utilizing it. It's its own tool, right? And there is a reason to be using it. So, yeah, I think that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So again, I want to say thank you so much, Thanuska, for being on. I really, really enjoy your message. I love your content. It's been a pleasure meeting you and having this conversation with you. For those of you who don't know you, where can they follow you?
Instagram. That's where I spend most of my time and post most of my content. So definitely Instagram.
Okay, perfect. And it's thanuska.s on Instagram. Okay, awesome. And for those of you who are listening to the podcast, please, if you like our content, you like our videos on YouTube, or you're listening to this on Spotify,
or even if you just like Dixie, if you like Dixie. If you like Dixie, then you should definitely do all these things. And now she's attacking me, so there you go.
If you like our content, please give us a like, share it with people who you think would like it as well. Follow us on Spotify, subscribe to our channel, and all that. And we'll see you in the next one. Have a great night, everybody.
Thanks, Thanuska. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Ooh.